On a silent winter evening, nearly 50,000 years ago, the world changed in a single night. A wall of cold air, colder than anything modern humans have ever felt, swept across Europe. Rivers froze in hours. Forests cracked apart like glass. Animals collapsed where they stood. And early humans were caught in the middle. This is the story of the Great Freeze, the night Europe turned to ice. It began with a strange stillness. The wind died, the sky dimmed, even the mammoths stopped feeding, lifting their trunks as if listening to something far away. For weeks, clans of early humans had noticed the signs. Nights growing longer, colder, earlier. A sun that felt weak, distant. A creeping frost that stayed on the ground even at noon. They didn't know it, but something enormous was happening high above them. A disruption in the jet stream. A collapse of warm Atlantic currents. A sudden plunge into what scientists now call a Heinrich event, a catastrophic cooling that hits without warning. Then, on one night, everything changed. A massive wall of Arctic air rolled across Europe. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in a single night. Rain turned to ice mid-fall. Lakes froze into solid stone. Trees exploded from the pressure as their sap crystallized. Humans huddled in small shelters, clinging to one another as the world outside roared with a deadly white wind. They had survived predators. They had survived hunger. They had survived rival tribes. But this was different. This was nature itself turning against them. The first to die were the grazers, wild horses, deer, woolly rhinoceroses. Their food disappeared under meters of hard ice. Those that survived the cold became weak, and the predators were waiting. Cave lions hunted along frozen rivers. Giant hyenas tore through snowdrifts searching for remains. Wolves followed human footprints in the dark, knowing the tribes were just as desperate as they were. The world didn't simply freeze. It turned into a battlefield of hunger. For early humans, every moment became a choice. Stay and freeze, or move and starve. Food vanished. Shelter collapsed under ice. Entire valleys filled with snow as hard as stone. Families carried burning branches wrapped in hides, moving through blizzards so thick you could only see a few steps ahead. They searched for caves, the only places warm enough to survive. But caves were already occupied by bears, by hyenas, by other humans. Some clans fought, others shared. Most simply vanished into the ice. Within weeks, Europe was transformed into a frozen desert. Glaciers pushed south like unstoppable giants. Eternal blizzards roared across the plains. Snow piled so high it swallowed forests whole. Human footprints lasted for months untouched, preserved in ice as time itself seemed to slow. Across this white world, small bands of humans crept through the night, following herds, searching for firewood, trying to stay alive in a land that no longer wanted life. And then came the darkness. Ash from distant volcanoes mixed with the frozen air, turning the sky dim and metallic. For days at a time, the sun refused to shine. Children cried from the cold. Elders whispered that the world was ending. But in this darkness, something extraordinary happened. Humans adapted. They crafted better furs. They built deeper shelters. They learned to store fat, to track animals across snow, to light fire even in frozen wind. The cold had come to kill them, but instead it forced them to evolve. As the freeze tightened its grip, some tribes made a decision that changed human history. They moved south, across frozen rivers, through endless ice storms, past collapsing cliffs of snow. This migration would reshape the world, pushing humans out of Europe, concentrating them into warmer refuges, and later sending them back north with new tools, new knowledge, and new strength. The Great Freeze did not destroy humanity, it forged it. And then, slowly, quietly, the world began to change again. The wind softened, the sun grew stronger, ice cracked and melted. Europe awoke. Rivers flowed again, grass pushed through the frost, animals returned, and humans emerged from their shelters, blinking at the new world before them. They carried the memory of that night, stories of the endless winter, legends of the world of ice, warnings for future generations. The Great Freeze did not destroy humanity, it forged it. Today, glaciers still carry the fingerprints of that night. Frozen layers record the moment Europe turned to ice. And buried deep within those ancient sheets lies the proof that humans once stood on the edge of extinction and survived. In the quiet of the frozen wind, our ancestors learned something powerful. Cold can break the weak, but it shakes the strong.